from 1970 to the year 2030 was Malachi York's prediction or prophecy of the walk that would take everybody toward the center or the middle path even before 1970. Now the scientists are coming out and speaking about 2030, damn near 40 years after he was teaching about it and letting people know that it was going to be there. So what's the importance of that? The importance of that is when we're saying about half an hour, that's in the book of Revelation. All right. What I just asked the sister to read is in the book of Revelation. And it said there was a silence in the heaven for about half an hour. Okay. So from 1970, history by one person ever recorded ever in 30 years. And a lot of people took a lot of different walks that it takes some people a whole lifetime to figure out and be a part of and overcome and graduate from. But in 30 years, they went through all of those as if, you know what I'm saying, it was all composed in one life. So watch this. What is this about half an hour business? Since the year 2002, May 8th, when they came and kidnapped Dr. Malachi York L., all right, from Tom Murray, which I was there, as I explained to y'all before. If you got the rehab book, you know I explained this already, that I was there to experience Tom Murray. This isn't something that I read about. I actually remember those days, you know what I'm saying, vividly. When they came to kidnap him in the year 2002, all right, they knew, per Sheriff Seals, that after they took him, there would be nobody else, listen, that they would have to worry about. This is actually what they said. One day I'm going to go and find it, or you don't have to wait for me. You go to nuwaubianfacts.com. It should still be up. Nuwaubian, NUWAUBIAN, facts.com. And you scroll through, go through the different documents and the files and the making telegrams that were posted, and you're going to find that Sheriff Seals said after they took Malachi York off of the scene, there would be no other, all right, listen, conscious leaders that they would have to worry about. There would be no other problems for them, as in the FBI, the feds, the government. They thought him to be the last of the worries that they would have, all right, as far as maintaining their world, okay? Why is that important? Because that would mean everybody else that you would have thought was a threat after Malachi York was not a threat. Are you with me? And the most that you could say was people like Rashad Jamal or Brother Polite siphoned or took pieces of Malachi's information to be associated as some type of spiritual leader, but they were never a threat to begin with. The only threat per the government, and it was not just Sheriff Seals in Putnam County, it was Sonny Perdue, it was George Bush. This wasn't no little case just happened inside somebody's apartment where they got accused of something. No, this was the biggest heads of the United States signed off on the raid to say, we finally got him. You understand? So to this point, they still only thought him to be a threat. They don't even think the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan to be a threat. They just are concerned that because he's becoming an elder, that he actually will start speaking more, because as elders get of age, they start caring less about certain obligations or oaths that they've taken or things that they've been told they can't say. They start caring less and less about that. So you will find that the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan was speaking less and less about race and more about what the games of the actual elite are. You understand? Which is why they tried to silence him, taking his accounts and all of that, because he's not supposed to, according to what they think the guidelines are, supposed to step out of those lines. And I know it's a whole different conversation. Some of y'all may not understand what I'm saying, but look at what I'm telling you. They don't think anybody else to be a threat. They will watch you. They will see if there's a potentiality. The same thing J. Edgar Hoover set up with the counterintelligence program to begin with. They will watch that. But ever since May 8, 2002, and I'm going to let the sister continue reading, but ever since May 8, 2002, they have not thought anybody to be a threat to this world of illusion. You should really wrap your mind around that, because from 2002 to now, all right, on to the year 2030 will be that latter half of that hour, and it is approximately, all right, half an hour. That's why they say about, there was a silence in the heavens about half an hour. And you know, I'm not just coming out with this from nowhere, because you go, if you can find it on my Clubhouse. If not, I have the links in my email. I'll be able to put them out eventually, where I did a teaching on this about almost 2 years ago, where I said silence in the heavens, and I broke down to you what it was all about. Okay, so the silence in the heavens is referring to this latter year, or this latter 30 years, which is the latter 30 minutes of that hour. This is why the book is called Man of the Hour. All right, sister, you have it.
The poles shifting, the coming of the sun cycle, the possibility of a star holocaust, how Mother Nature is fighting back, and how human beings are like a leech on Mother Nature's back, and she is trying to shake humans off. Not to mention that he predicted California would eventually break off and fall into the ocean. This list can go on and on. Yes, all of the prophecies are unraveling right up to the much talked about extraterrestrial and spacecrafts. Make note that these events took place and started popping up in the media after he revealed them. Every time he teaches us something new, you call him crazy or ask where does he get his information. After you hear it from the powers that be, who recognize who he is, read his information, and then educate their own, do you turn around and recognize who Naya Melchizedek El, or to us, Amun Nubi Ruach? Yeah, you got that. As Pharaoh of this day and time? No, you just wait for the next opportunity to dispute him. Well, you are running out of time. Now his predictions are coming closer and closer because the time of the end is not coming, it is now. There won't be time to check the devil for the truth that he has been sent to teach us. It will be too late, he says. Since 1970, there have been those who once verbally attacked and even attempted to physically attack Naya Melchizedek El and the community. Now they are bowing out and humbling themselves to him, for they know they cannot withstand the knowledge and information that he brings, although some people are still missing the point. Can't you see that he has come to help you, not hurt you? A full circle from 1967 AD as, what's his name?
Aminubiru Akta.
All the way back to Pharaoh, same name.
You can say Aminubi.
Okay,
Amun.
1990 AD to now 1997 AD. He has tried to teach us things we were not ready for. Whenever he is on a certain path, he is relaying information to open the eyes of our people and anyone who has a sincere heart. These same people come out with leaflets about our teacher and organization to try and turn the hearts of the people away from right knowledge. If you take a look back in history, you will see that whenever saviors come, there are always those who try to stop them. And then it goes on to the Holy Tablets, chapter 6. And even at this very moment, when I'm about to open your eyes to his, Azazel's most recent appearance, he endeavors to prevent my pen. Thus, it becomes necessary to write a 360 questions about on different groups, such as 360 questions to ask an Orthodox Sunni Muslim, 360 questions to ask a Christian, 360 questions to ask Hebrew Israelites, and 360 questions to ask the Israeli church so that they can understand the power of his pen. Let's not forget the hundreds of scrolls written under the Right Knowledge, the God series, the Christ series, UFO and extraterrestrial series, scriptural scrolls, the debates and discussion series, ceremony scrolls, holiday series, bulletins, and a host of audio and videotapes, coloring books, language books, and the countless numbers of scrolls. What we don't need today in these last days and times is misinformation, and our teacher is here to right the wrong, and only a fool ducks when the truth is thrown at them. There is only one thing left to say.
Let's stop real quick. That's funny. Let's stop real quick. Say only what? A fool ducks when the truth is thrown at him. This is something that I was raised up on. There was a book, Dr. Malachi, sayings of Dr. Malachi York. And a lot of how I live my life is based off of that book. Why? Because there was wisdom in it. And one of the sayings was what? Only a fool ducks when the truth is thrown at him. It may not always feel good for you to have to go back to the drawing board of what you thought you knew. You thought you knew something, but then somebody comes forth and that whole illusion is shattered. I tell you, they didn't always like Pops. People didn't always like Malachi York. And one of the main reasons, if not the main reason, was that he taught the truth. And the truth doesn't care how you feel. The truth doesn't ask you, is this going to offend you first? The truth doesn't ask you, do you have a, so listen, I've spoken to people, some people didn't know, I didn't know certain people, they'll come around, they say, yo, I'm talking about certain people. They said, well, I know them personally. I said, okay, cool. It's still what I'm saying. They did, but it wasn't intended to offend them. It was just to let them know. I even had to explain to them, say, look, I don't have it in my body to not speak on it just because you know them. I don't have it in my body to not put out the truth just because you think it's going to be offensive. No, the truth is going to be spoken. And the more you speak that truth and the more people realize how important the truth is, the less that misinformation that's being spoken of that the sister is reading is able to be put out. Like I put in my book, How to Speak Elite. What did I say? I said, you're in the information age, which means that as everything has to be some type of way polarized, in this reality, they polarized it. If you're in the information age, you're also in the misinformation age. What's been happening lately with a lot of these people who are claiming to be whistleblowers or claiming to be gurus or spiritual gurus or leaders or conscious leaders or spiritual teachers, all right? If they don't have, this is coming from Malachi York himself, listen, if they don't have the true light, then they will be speaking to your soul bad light. He said, all you want is the truth. And people who don't know the truth don't want to tell you they don't know the truth. So when they come in and bring you any type of information or prophecies or any of that, you need to pay attention. Listen, I don't care what anybody said. All of the confusion that just happened with that Amber Alert, all right, you need to pay attention to every dog that brought the bone. I'm going to say it again. If anybody told you to be cautious or concerned about that Amber Alert or about that tone or that frequency, about how you need to put your phone up and out them, stop listening to them, unfollow them, unsubscribe, walk away from them. That was a mass distraction. That was a weapon of mass distraction. And if your so-called conscious leaders or teachers actually contribute to a weapon of mass distraction, those are not conscious leaders or teachers. You understand? And they haven't gone through enough schools to be able to humble themselves out and say, listen, I don't know this. One of the sisters sent some information to me, and she was asking one of the brothers, how do you know this? Where did you get this information from? He said, spirit. All right. Same thing I told you when Isis Wisdom was saying that it was the galactic ancestors that blew up the Georgia Guidestone. And I asked her, which galactic ancestors are you talking about? She told me to go within to get the answers instead of telling me the answers. Same way one of the brothers came on the live, I asked him, where did you get that from? He said, I'm not clear to give you that information. Instead of saying, I don't know. Anybody that can't tell you, I don't know, listen, don't trust them. Anybody that can't tell you, I don't remember, let me get back with you, don't trust them. Because in the ego, what will happen is they will choose to give you misinformation, which is called amber or bad light, all right, as opposed to just accepting that in that particular moment, they are not that teacher. This is what made Malachi the master teacher. You have to be able to accept that you will not always be the teacher in order to become the master teacher. Because what? If you're trying to teach the teacher in that moment, how are you learning to become a master in whatever you're being taught? If I was in school always telling the teacher what they're supposed to be teaching me, how was I ever supposed to learn? You understand? I come in pre-K telling the teacher that I'm supposed to write the language this way and all I'm doing is scribbling. How are they supposed to give me the order or the foundation of learning the language of writing the letter A and the letter B and the letter C, if you understand? So the point is, the misinformation is out here, all right? And if anybody is trying to place themselves in a position as a conscious leader or a teacher, please don't think that I'm in competition with them. Please don't think that I'm calling them out because I want their spot. They don't have the spot. If there was anybody that I would compete with when it comes to that, it would be Malachi Z. York. That's the only one to beat at this moment. There is nobody out here that you can point to that I could say, I want their position. They don't have the positions. You understand? That's not what we're going for. So you have to understand, if they're assuming that position, they're a part of the confusion, unless they're able to tell you, listen, that they're not the master and they don't know what is going on, then you can listen to them. If they can tell you that they don't know, instead of trying to say that the spirit is informing them, or that, listen, they say the spirit is how you look out for them. They say the spirit is telling me, but they can't explain to you what that means. Or they say the ethers is telling them, but they can't explain to you what that means. Or they say the cosmos, which is when they say the cosmos, what they're literally saying is they're getting messages from the stars, the planet, the suns, the moon. That's what the cosmos are. The nebula, the galaxies. That's what they're saying. They're getting information from bodies outside of the planet Earth. These people are not to be trusted, okay? And you're better off looking up into the stars yourself. And I'm not trying to be mystical when I say that. You're better off, okay? Because in this day and time, you don't need misinformation. You need the true information. And one of the ways you can start finding out what the truth is to do what all of us had to do. And we all had to go through it, which is why I can empathize and sympathize with what these people are going through in their mind. The illusion has to be shattered. You have to be you may not like the word, humble enough to accept that you don't know, that's when the doors will be open unto you, that you'll be able to ask, seek, and knock, and you will be able to find out. So in the moments where you don't know, when you have a teacher who can bring you that information, okay, of any sort that can open up your eyes, hear them out and test them. That's why they said test every spirit with the spirit. And if somebody's saying they get the information from the spirit and they can't explain to you what that spirit is, don't listen to them, because that is confusion. True light makes somebody free. If somebody walks away from you after asking you a question and they're more confused, all right, than before they asked the question, then you were not that teacher in that moment. You left them confused. Are you with me? Go ahead, sister.
There's only one thing left to say of our master teacher, Nayel Melchizedek El, and that is his works speak for themselves. He gave us our own language, think, our own language, Nuwabic. He gave us our own pilgrimage to our own holy city with rituals and all. Each thing is traceable back to our own ancestors in Egypt. He even gave us our own prayer system called Nuwabian Taful, a complete system of prayer. He gave us back our true roots as Moors from this land, USA and Africa, and how we are all the true owners of these lands. He has truly freed us of the spell of ignorance and self and kind. He told and showed us where all of the other races come from. What else can I say? What if you lived in a house with many friends, all of which are self-righteous, who say that their God is with them and guides them and that they are something special? Yet, one of your friends doesn't claim to be special. However, others in the house all do. The one that doesn't claim to be special tells you, let's prepare. The winter is coming. Let's check the cracks and check the heating system, and everybody get blankets and prepare. Meanwhile, all the others ramble on about how great they are. Yet, when the winter comes, you and that special friend are prepared while all others are freezing. Would you trust that person? This person did the same event repeatedly, and you were always forewarned and thus prepared for whatever was to come. Would you begin to listen to that person? If that person told you what was healthy and what was not healthy, when it's best to eat and when not, and you saw that your health was perfect and you didn't even age as fast as others, would you be grateful to that person? If that person told you your family is fine, in fact, contrary to what you believe, they are ready to come and be a part of you and your beliefs, and you doubt and it comes to pass, would you love that person for this? Then finally, if that person tells you, stay close to me because I know the way in this dark world, would you do that? If the answer is yes, then you are a sincere follower of the Lamb as your personal Savior. He lives right now with us, our own God in the flesh. So let me tell you the many reasons why we follow this great man and see him as a God incarnated in the flesh for us. And then it goes on to the prophecies. Question: is there any significance behind the Hale-Bopp comet? Answer: at our second Nuwabian ball, my father, Dr. Malachi Z. York, mentioned the Hale-Bopp comet that everybody is talking about on the news. The comet was named after two astronomers, Alan Hale and Thomas Bopp, who discovered them in the summer of 1995 AD. According to various newspapers and magazines, the comet is 123 million miles miles away from the planet Earth and is due to make its appearance on March 4th through April 23rd of this year. It is a mystery that astronomers about its brightness and why the comet is so close to the planet Earth, once called Tiamat, when it was whole before it was even split in half. They are even more mystified by the object that is near it, or the companion, as they call it. Some astronomers deny its existence and others have confirmed its existence. They have no idea what it is, and some astronomers believe that the comet was sent from this object. Some say extraterrestrials, some say a spacecraft of planetary size. Does this sound familiar? Well, they don't know because they are not supposed to know, because it's not for them. That object, The so-called companion that they're referring to is Nibiru, which means crossing place or planet of the crossing. Question. Sister Nin, oh, sister, if I may call you that, just what is Nibiru? Answer. Yes, you may call me by my name. Nibiru is the mother craft that releases smaller crafts called shams. This craft is being navigated by the Anunnaki Elohim called Riskians, who are coming to pick up their children. Nibiru makes a trip into the Earth's atmosphere from the Orion skies through the Sirius star system every 3,600 years, called Ashar. We are now living in that day and time. The ancient ones are coming for us, and the archangel Melchizedek was sent forth to incarnate into my father to prepare us for this great and dreadful day of Yahuwah, the rapture. Question. Is this the craft that the master teacher has been saying is coming to collect the 144,000 purified souls in El's Holy Injil, chapter 21? Answer. Yes, my dad has said this planet ship called Nibiru is 3 to 4 times the size of the planet Earth, making it too large to move too close to this planet. If Nibiru, also called the Crystal City or Mothership, was to move into this atmosphere, it would cause a major disturbance in the Earth, causing volcanoes to erupt, floods, etc. because of its magnetic pull. Nibiru has been called many different names by people who don't know what it is. In recent times, it has been called Rilo 7, Procyon, Planet X, and the Mother Plane. As I mentioned earlier, it is now being called the Companion. Question. Is this the same craft that was prophesied to come in different cultures? Answer. Different cultures speak of a craft that is coming, such as the Dogons of Mali, Africa. To the Greeks, it was also known as Typhon. The Mayans called it, not pronouncing that. The Phoenicians referred to it as the Great Phoenix. The Chinese referred to it as the Great Red Sea, and the Egyptians referred to it as Apep or Set. The Nation of Islam calls it the Mother Plane. The Christians call it the Holy City, the New Jerusalem, that is coming down from God out of heaven.
Now
So
let's watch this really quickly. What did you say that the ancient Egyptians referred to it as?
Apep.
Or Set. All right. Or Apophis. They may not have that word featured there, but if you go research, Apep, all right, Apophis, okay, Set, Seti, different names for the serpent or the snake, which a lot of people try to say, oh, you know, the snakes was good in Egypt. Then they don't know what they're talking about, because in ancient Kemet or ancient Egyptian stories, they recorded that Apep was the one who came through and swallowed the sun. You understand? Or tried to attempt to swallow the sun to bring the world back into darkness. Are you with me? So it was actually an enemy of all life on the planet Earth. Why is this important? Because they put out certain movies like Fantastic Four, Rise of the Silver Surfer, which featured an Etherian that had a job, just like in the movie The Day the Earth Stood Still. Okay, that Silver Surfer had a job, and that job was to come through and make way for the destroyer. It worked for the destroyer. Okay, and the destroyer is only referred to as the destroyer because what? The people who are the inhabitants of the planet Earth will be threatened by that particular being or particular planet or particular celestial body. Are you with me? So watch this. The destroyer comes through also in the story or the religion or way of life of Hinduism, okay, or Buddhism, and they teach about a being by the name of Shiva. And if you go research who Shiva is also referred to as the destroyer, who comes through with the trishul or the trishul, or a weapon that is able to what? Defeat the sun. Are you with me? So they speak also about the sun being darkened in the book of Revelation, and they also talk about in Revelation chapter 21, it was at verse 4 and 5, they talk about God coming down out of heaven. They saw the New Jerusalem, or the city of the New Jerusalem, coming down from God out of heaven. Are you with me? This is some type of craft that was supposed to be traveling through space to get to Earth with the purpose of, for one, destroying the old world. And what did he say in book of Revelation chapter 21? I will make all things new, making a new world. So there's nowhere you can go and not find this story. It's another reason that you should look into more than just one story or one book. One more thing I'll say is actually there is a difference between Set or Satuk and Apep. You want to make sure that you note that, because Set was somebody who at one point was not an enemy to Ra, but he went dark. He went corrupt. Satuk went corrupt. And when he went corrupt, he started to help and aid and assist Apep. What was the point of you bringing all that up? The point of me bringing all that up was, if we refer to Nebheru and Nibiru, Planet X, the companion, Apep, Apophis, whatever you want to call it, all right, as a celestial body, I think it to be something you should pay attention to, that your scientists, or not your scientists, these scientists, people who are the astronomers of planet Earth, are saying that by the year 2030, there is a celestial body that will make it to this planet. And what is that celestial body referred to as? Apophis. And Apophis is another way to say Apep. In the Man Who Fell to Earth series, you hear about 2030. Your scientists are talking about 2030. They're talking about cataclysmic events that will happen by 2030. Malachi York put in the Holy Tablets 2030. And speaking about 2030 since 1970, who did they get their calculations and predictions from? Think about what I'm telling you. Because remember, can't nobody fuck with Malachi. They keep trying to act like they can put themselves in the same boat, but your scientists are not watching what you're saying. The scientists of Tiamat are not watching what these niggas is putting on TikTok, trying to learn something from them. No, but everything Malachi York said, they watched, they charted, they documented, they tested, they said, wow, this checks out. Wow, how did he know that? There's no possible way he could have known that if he was not an astronomer. Does he have a lab? Who's giving him these predictions? And they started to be concerned because of that reason. Are you with me? Go ahead, sister.
I figured it out. It's Quetzalcoatl. But to the Sumerians, it was called Nibiru.
Yeah, Quetzalcoatl. Another. Go ahead.
The Sumerians were the group of people that the Anunnaki taught when they crashed down to the planet Earth off of the shores of what is now called the Persian Gulf. This is just further confirmation for those who didn't have faith that Nibiru is real, and yet another one of his prophecies comes to light. For all who said it sounds ridiculous, the Anunnaki were making all of this a reality for you. Needless to say, he told you that this was already going to happen. Take a look at the headlines and the diagrams that you can't see. Question: when you said the year 2000 would be the end of the devil's reign or life as we know it, was this the event that you were talking about? Answer: when I would say that the year 2000 would be the end of the world as we know it, I was referring to the planetary alignment that is due to take place May 5th, 2000 AD, when the 7 planets will align, counting from Venus to Neptune. There is a possibility the planets will be drawn into the sun, causing a star holocaust and end of life on Earth as we know it. People were worrying about the actual day 5/5/2000 AD. However, it is the years that precede the year 2000 that you have to worry about, because from 1997 AD to the year 2000 AD, it is 3 years, and all kinds of catastrophes will be happening. In the year 1970 AD, we started coming into the sun cycle. You called it the New Age or Aquarian Age. However, it will be in the 4th cycle when all of this happens, which will complete the cycle for this 24,000 year equinox, 1/2 of the 49,000 or 50,000 year jubilee or epoch. Question: can you help explain the 4 cycles? Answer: the Earth goes through 24,000 year cycle that is broken up into 4 cycles of 6,000 years each. There are 2 moon cycles and 2 sun cycles. We are coming into the last sun cycle, or the last 6,000 years of this 24,000 year cycle, called an equinox. This sun cycle begins in the year 2000 AD and marks the end of the evil one's rule. It doesn't matter what date you start from. His rule ends when the new sun cycle begins. There were cycles that existed before the one you are going through now. Look at a diagram that you can't see. Question: are there other planets out there outside of our solar system? Answer: there are also talks of there being other planets in the universe as well as other galaxies other than the Milky Way. Again, my dad told you about this so many years ago. He introduced you to the 8th planet, Risk, which is in the 19th galaxy called Ilion, which is where he comes from. You can take it or leave it. However, everything that he has told you has come true, and his works speak for themselves. This is why he is the man of the hour. Prior to now, for the end is not coming, the end is now, the end of the moon cycle and the beginning of the sun cycle. The prophecies that he informed you of were prophecies that came to pass over a period of time. However, now these prophecies are coming to pass soon after he present them to you. Just recently on the news, they announced that Saturn is a ball of gas and that Titan is actually the planet. This is just further confirmation from Mission Earth, scroll 81, where he had already said this. Furthermore, when he told us that one day people will be living on Mars and it won't be us, people said he was crazy. When he said the purpose of the shuttle was to shuttle or transport people back and forth in space, or otherwise you wouldn't need one. My father told us that people would be living on other planets, and it's just a matter of time before the purpose of all these trips to the moon and explorations come out. Well, here
Let's
we
get it
are in
clear
1990.
real quick. All right, hold that for me. Let's get it clear, because a lot of people are saying, "Oh, India faked their moon landing. Russia faked their moon landing. The U.S. faked their moon. They did no such thing. What you thought to be a moon landing was a transportation mission. All right, and if Malachi made up the possibility or the concept or the idea of people living off planet on other planets, then why, this is 1997, so why almost 2 decades later, all right, is Elon Musk speaking about the process having already begun of the terraformation of Mars, or Lamu, all right, was what Malachi was referring to as the ancient Sumerian name for Mars. All right, he already said people are going to be on there. Lamu or Mars has people there. The moon has people there. You understand? He said, what is a shuttle for? A shuttle is to take you from one place to the next. You understand? Let me tell you something else. You have a space station, all right? If I go to the train station, there are shuttles or buses, all right, that go from my house or from my block or from wherever I am in the outer skirts of wherever the location is or the region is to the station itself. And then from that station, I catch another vehicle, train, or another bus to go to another place. So what is the space station for? You understand? And then you see people, they go, they disappear. You don't know who else is on the craft. You don't know who they're taking. You got to watch these movies. What is it? The Day the Earths Collide, or the Earths Collide, Worlds Collide. I think it was an old movie called Worlds Collide. Go watch that. All right. These shuttles have people on them, and they're leaving for what purpose? To try and not only terraform, which they've done, to see who can be able to live on these other planets. But why would they do that? And this is what he asked. He said, what would be the purpose? He said, if I'm looking at your house and you got all this stuff wrong with your house and you spending all this money going other places, what are you planning on doing? Leaving. He said, simple as that. You planning on leaving. So if your planet is falling apart, they talking about the deterioration of the ozone layer. They talking about the Earth's crust displacement, the ground potentially not being stable to even sustain life. You understand? For people to literally have to try to go to the caverns again. It's all kind of things that your government's been speaking about behind the scenes, or these scientists have been speaking about behind the scenes, of how this planet is falling apart, okay? And they're the cause of it. Yet, they're still spending all this money going out of the planet, okay? Do you think it's simple enough for you to just say they're not going there? It's not. You really have to look into these things and find out that not only have they been going there, they've been talking about the fact that they're there. And some of these things they stopped speaking about. They talked about how there were pyramids on Mars. How they know? You understand? They've been charting those territories. The purpose of sending the rovers up and the Hubble and all these, they weren't sending them things up to Apollo just to go out there and take pictures. They was going out there to study new territories, study new lands. They don't care nothing about no moon rocks and bringing them back just to tell y'all we got rocks on the moon. They were testing the atmosphere. They were trying to see how much work, how many minerals, how much what? Rich skins, gold, all right? How many programs or projects they would have to roll out to be able to terraform these environments, alter the atmosphere so that it's suitable for human life. They've already done that. Go ahead.
Well, here we are in 1997 AD, and the news articles are popping up about Earthlings will soon inhabit the planet Mars. He told us in the book Man from Planet Risk and many other scrolls that human life was transported to Earth from other planets and that there were intelligent beings responsible for all this. No one trusted him. My father documented this information inside of our own scripture called the Holy Tablets. Now they are revealing to the public that there are also life on Jupiter's moon called Europa, which is where they got the name for Europe, also in the Man from Planet Risk. Question: what is Doomsday? Answer: on a calendar in the office, my dad marked the date December 12th, 1996 AD as Doomsday. We, his disciples, asked him repeatedly what it meant. He just smiled and said, I can't tell you all. Every day someone would ask him, and he would say, you'll see. Well, on
And
December 9th,
before you continue, I remember this because this was coming directly from people in the family. Of course, I was not a part of the conversation, but there was a boom, there was an explosion that took place, and he predicted the time, the date, and all of that. Nobody knew what this was. Listen, if he didn't answer certain questions, nobody could even have the answer to certain things. They still don't have answers to certain things. Where some people ask, why did this happen? What will be the coming of this? The same thing they were asking the one who was called Jesus or Isa, in the people who come from the Christianity aspect or Christianity orientation. They had a teacher or a master teacher called Jesus. And Jesus was one of the ones who could make those prophecies and would tell people, you will know this when this happens, or you will know this when that happens. So they would ask, what's going to happen? Why you keep marking this day? What does this day mean? You know what I'm saying? Or what do you mean when you say we need to watch out for this? Or what is this allegory, this parable that you're speaking? And he would say, sometimes he would tell them they had to watch and see. And one of those events was a major explosion. I think it was the year 96. I got to go back and check it out. But I asked my dad about it, and I asked my Omi about it. But it was a major explosion that took place, and it was heard all around the world. It just happened recently, by the way. There was another boom that it was heard, and they still haven't explained to you what that is. But he was able to explain it. It's just that you had to be close enough to that fire to understand what these things were, which we do. Go ahead.
well, on December 12th, 1996, there was much rainfall and thunderstorms going on in Georgia and different parts of the country and around the world. People everywhere were suffering the same type of weather, such as thunderstorms, snowstorms, tornadoes, etc. At a certain point during the shadow hours around 7 or 8 p.m. Eastern Time, we heard and felt a big boom that was felt all around the world. At first, we thought it was lightning. However, the boom was a little too hard to be lightning. It shook lights, people's dishes fell from out of cabinets, and there were power failures. The shake was felt in many different places around the world, and nobody knew what was going on. He said that the fatal weather has just begun. From then on, America has had bad, very bad weather. Question: well, what was the boom about? Answer: the next day we all asked him what had happened. He said, I told you something was going to happen on that day, and it did. The sound which shook the planet Earth was the vibration of the mothership Nibiru being halted in space by the beings from Aldebaran who altered the time by slowing the process of the comet Hale-Bopp. Hale-Bopp will break away from Nibiru. They will try and shoot it or stop it so that Nibiru will not reach you in time. This is a diagram. Question: so what made your father mark Doomsday on the calendar? He said, answer. He said he made it a point to mark that day and let all of his disciples see for themselves. And then the next time he tells us something is going to happen, we will have faith in it and know that he is truly the man of the hour. Question: so are you saying that extraterrestrials really do exist? Answer: since the very beginning of my dad's teachings, when he was known as Imam Isa or as Sayyid Isa al-Hadi al-Mahdi, the reformer,
You did it. You did it.
he taught us about extraterrestrials and crafts. The Hale-Bopp comet is just one of the many subjects that they are talking about. If you go back to the original Revelation books, which date back to the 1970s, you will see where he told us about crafts coming to Earth called crystal cities, the New Jerusalem, which you can find in Revelation 21:2. When he said this back in the 70s, he was ridiculed, laughed at, and was called crazy. Well, all of the scientists are now bearing witness to what he has been saying for over 25 years now. He who laughs last, laughs the best. Ha ha ha. It is all over the media. People aren't laughing anymore. People are scared, and the joke is on them because those that are his true disciples anticipated, had faith, and knew what would happen, and he told us what to do in order to be saved. When he started telling us about reptilians, everybody thought he had been watching too much television, although his knowledge supersedes anything we will ever see on television. Reptilians have become a household word now. When he told the story of the scientist named Yakub from a tribe called Dunakiel, whose head was the size of 2 men, a story told to Elijah Muhammad by a man he called God in flesh. It was an incomplete story. Yet the same man who was responsible for the race of pale-skinned, blue-eyed people called Flugelrods, everyone thought he was making it up or copying from the Nation of Islam or the 5% Nation, saying that no one had a head that big, and it's an exaggeration. The Dunakiels also lived in the center of the earth. Well, here is the proof. Archaeologists, I cannot speak English, please. Archaeologists dug up a skull that is the size of 2 men. Neither the Nation of Islam nor the 5%ers could provide all of the facts or proof. Yet my dad did, and his most holy scriptures called the Holy Tablets gives the complete story of this event in chapter 3 called The Scientists. He also said that there were a race of people with cone-shaped skulls called Teros from Jumo star's constellation that lived in the center of the earth. The Tero skull was unearthed, which means that it does exist. Also, a whole tribe of statues which this same head shape were found right here in Central America that were built by the ancient Olmecs, who were originally Nubians from Nubia, or what you are calling Africa today. They traveled here to the Americas before the continental drift, when the continents of Africa and America were one landmass. The Nubians moved around, constructed statues, and brought a great civilization to that part of the world long before Native Americans you know them here today as. My father would say, don't believe me, check it out. People say that you can't craft a Caucasian from a Nubian. However, they did it with Michael Jackson. Ooh. Although Michael Jackson had cosmetic surgery to change himself from being an original Moor to a Caucasian, it simply proves that it can be done. If doctors and scientists can do it now, scientists who then were more advanced could perform the same graftation. Now they are able to do it in one lifetime where it doesn't take a 600-year graftation. So for all intended purposes, Michael Jackson is Caucasian. Although he's conceived a child from a Caucasian woman, genetically speaking, their child still should have come out a darker hue or broader features, considering Michael Jackson had very Nubian features before his operations. However, their son, Prince Michael Jackson Jr., came out extremely light with aquiline features, which means that the doctors tapped into his genes and altered them. However, when my father said that there were beings called Deros that were exceedingly obese with noses like elephant trunks. Yet the Hindus worship an elephant-headed deity called Ganesha, the son of Shiva and Parvati. It is not a myth to them, a true story. Business people and others are ready to go on difficult endeavors and pray to Ganesha to clear obstacles in their path. Scrolling past a whole bunch of things. Question: is the film Alien Autopsy a hoax or not? Or not? Answer: let me answer this. During the O.J. Simpson murder trial, all kinds of doctors and scientists, including forensic scientists who labeled themselves experts, came in from all over the country to prove either innocence or guilt of O.J. Simpson. which they proved him innocent, mainly due to the evidence and testimony presented by the forensic scientists. Now, you tell me these experts can prove that one O.J. Simpson is innocent using their best technology and people. How could they not prove that extraterrestrials that were in the film Alien Autopsy were real or not? They clone now. They have a chip now. The conclusion that the scientists have come to is that the extraterrestrials on the film were indeed real and that they were not from the Roswell, New Mexico crash, however, from another crash that happened in 1947 AD near Socorro, New Mexico. Question: is it true that the Earth has a hollow center? Answer: another topic everyone thought was unbelievable is that the planet Earth is hollow and that there are cities and a central sun that exists inside the planet Earth called the Black Sun. If the planet Earth was solid, it would weigh much, much more. He revealed this information to you when he first began to teach in 1967 AD, introducing you to the inner cities of Shambhala and Agartha. My father drew pictures and diagrams and told you how the subterranean cities came into existence with secret pathways from many cities such as Egypt, South America, Tibet, and others. He also told you about different beings that live in caverns inside of the earth. There were doubts because it was such far-fetched information at the time. Yet his disciples had faith and were bearing witness to his teachings until the very day it's referring to Shambhala and Agartha. But question, sister, someone told me that your dad can communicate with different beings from different galaxies. Is this true? Answer: yes, he can and does. In fact, he told you that that he himself is an extraterrestrial and that many beings speak through him, 19 to be exact. And now he has added 3 more prophets: Noble Drew Ali, Messenger Elijah Muhammad, and Clarence 37X. I don't know if that's supposed to be 13X. Have all spoken to him and asked him to straighten out the mess. That's why the new books are out. He informed you about beings that live on other planets who were humanoid in appearance, and others would scare you if you saw them. My father began preparing your minds long ago because he knew this day would come, where the entire world would be talking about extraterrestrials and life on other planets, other galaxies, and the existence of other universes. He is a mortal man, yet beings come to him and even speak and teach us by way of him. He is not your extraordinary human being. No, he is from beyond the stars. He made sure you were informed about everything under and above the sun. Dr. Malachi Z. York said that humans are very egotistical if you think that you are the only intelligent life form in this large universe and that you are just a very minute part of the big
He
picture.
said, yeah, minute.
Oh, my bad, sorry. Needless to say, now that Dr. Courtney Brown of the Emory University and author of Cosmic Voyage is talking about the existence of humanoid Martians, all of a sudden it becomes believable. And there are many, many others, such as Richard Hoagland, who are talking now, yet none of them are talking to you. You are not a part of the agenda. You need to ask yourselves, why is that? Question: why is it so hard for the Nubian nation of Moors to accept this information from somebody that was sent to them from amongst them? Answer: the answer is plain and simple. When it is coming from one of our own, a Nubian who was raised amongst us, we don't have faith in him. Yet a person who has never done anything for you and has deceived you all your life, you believe him. This is exactly what they tell you to do. Just be naive, be patient, and everything will be okay. Why is it so ironic? Well, what is so ironic is that everything that my dad has written and put out over the past 30 years, people are now just catching up with and using his words, yet not giving credit where credit is most certainly due. They may have the history, however, they don't have the entire story, our story. The same Dr. Courtney Brown that was mentioned earlier was in an interview dated June 19th, 1996 AD on the Art Bell Show as a radio talk show host. Dr. Brown gives an account of how the life on the planet Mars was destroyed and how there is and once was life there. The following is Dr. Brown's words verbatim from his interview when asked about Art Bell. You want me to read that or skip past it? I don't know why I asked that.
You can read
All
that.
right. Back now to Professor Brown. Professor, the word what killed their star? Dr. Brown stated, "Oh, Mars? That's a fascinating story. It was not there. It was not an environmental problem like what they were doing with our planet, or basically what happened to the